Successful people don't tell you that there's actually a major key to building new habits and sticking routines that they don't want you to know. And that leaves you trying things like 75 hard or other really intense habit-based challenges, and then realizing that you can't actually stick to it because you were never actually doing something that would ever work for you. The answer to making your routines work for you and with you is nowhere near as complicated as you think, but it is something that has to be fully tailored towards yourself. So yes, that does mean that unfortunately following some random influencer's daily routine and schedule is not actually going to be the thing that's going to get you closer to your goals. But today we are going to cover 3 things that are going to absolutely solve this entire dilemma for you. If you don't know me, my name is Haley and I'm your realistic and balanced bestie, helping you build a stronger brain and body. So as somebody who's been lifting for close to 10 years, a question that I get a lot is just, how do you stay consistent? And my answer is literally just menus. And that's it. That's the entire episode. No, but seriously, the main way that I actually stay on track is by having 3 menus that literally get me through every single day. So how this works is I have an ideal routine menu, I have a shortened, condensed version of my routine menu, and then I have menus for specific goals or self-care tasks or moods that I'm in. So we're going to break all of these down. For the main and most important menu, what we are going to do is we start by breaking down the ideal list of every single thing that your ideal self would do on a daily basis. I like to think of this as making a few separate routine blocks. So for me, I have a pre-workout block, I have a post-workout block, I have a pre-work block, a post-work block, and a nighttime routine block. Now, inside of all of those routine blocks, we are going to start with our ideal routine menu. And you want to really break this down. Get as detailed as humanly possible. I am talking down to the minute if you absolutely need to do that. And remember that this routine is your dream routine. So this is what you want to ideally be doing every single day, and it has to be something that is actually realistic for you right now. So if you only have an hour in your morning routine or your pre-work routine, you're not gonna add 2 hours worth of tasks to do into here. You are just gonna add everything that you can realistically, feasibly do in an ideal hour before work. So for example, my pre-work routine is going to be things like shower, and then I do my oral care routine. So I have underneath there oil pulling, tongue scraping, water pick, brushing teeth. Then I have my skincare. I break that down into individual steps. I have my hair of the day, whatever I'm doing, I break that down into options or steps. Then I will meditate, I journal, I get dressed, have that broken down into a few different steps. I make breakfast and I take my supplements. And that is kind of my ideal pre-work routine. Now, with this ideal version, this is something you want to be following at least 80% of the time. Now, for the other 20%, that is where we are going to get into our condensed version of this routine. This is something that I like to think of as 5-minute mode, and it's not necessarily that it has to be a 5-minute routine every single time, but it's more so something that gets me into the mindset of, okay, even if I just spend 5 minutes doing this, I'm going to feel so much better than if I were to just be like, oh, there's too much to do, I can't do any of it, so I'm just not going to do any of it at all. So like I said, it doesn't actually have to be 5 minutes, but it does have to be the most important non-negotiables from your entire ideal routine list. So this is going to be things that you know that you can accomplish no matter what day it is. So if it's the first day of your period, if you're feeling a little bit sick, if you're just not in a good mood that day, you want these to be things that even on those days, these are things you absolutely have to get done. So you really want to try to pick the things that you know are going to actually make a difference in your day-to-day, the things that are going to actually move you closer to your goals. And just like with the ideal routine, you want to try to make this as specific as humanly possible. But something that you can actually do for the ideal routine and your condensed version routine is you can use habit stacking, which is one of my favorite keys. And I definitely do it more on my 5-minute mode days than I do on my ideal routine, because I'm just someone who I like to really take my time with routines, and I like to really try to just invest myself into spending that time on myself. So whether it's a morning routine or a night routine, I like to kind of separate things out. But when I am doing my 5-minute mode routine, I will habit stack the shit out of everything. So for example, my condensed version of my pre-work routine is to shower, and then my oral care, I cut it down to just water pick and brushing teeth, because again, these are the absolute priorities. These are the things that you're like, okay, if I can only pick a few things to do, these are the things that I absolutely have to do. Then I have my skincare routine. I don't cut anything out of that because my skincare routine is kind of like my most important point in my morning. For habit stacking, I will make breakfast while listening to a meditation, so I don't actually take the time to meditate separately on my condensed version days, and I typically won't spend the time to actually sit there and journal. I just kind of listen to the meditation while I'm making breakfast, and it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. So if one of your morning pre-work routines that you want to get into is doing red light therapy, and another one that you want to get into is meditating, you could habit stack those together and do them at the exact same time on your ideal day or on your condensed version day. The goal is to really try to make it as efficient as humanly possible, whether it's your ideal self or your condensed version day. And we want to make sure that we're doing this for every single routine block that we have throughout the day. So like I said, I have 5 routine blocks throughout my day because I have a pre-workout one, I have a post-workout, I have a pre-work, and then post-work and nighttime routine. So for each one of those, I am making the entire full ideal version of this, and then I'm also making the condensed 5-minute mode version. And if you're sitting here like, okay, that's cool, great, whatever, but I don't actually have to write all this out, like I know everything in my head, you are wrong. Because when it comes to building new routines and habits, just having it in your head is not enough for you to actually get the ball rolling and to actually do something. Because what's going to happen is you're going to be laying in bed and you're going to be like, ugh, I know that I wanted to really start doing all of these things in the morning. I know that I have an ideal routine that I want to start doing, but I just am so overwhelmed by it and there's so much to do that I'm just actually not going to do anything, and I'm just going to sit here scrolling on TikTok until I have to leave for work. And especially if you wake up in a bad mood, there's no way any of it is going to get done. So that's why we have to have everything pre-written out, whether you write it out on an actual piece of paper and you put it somewhere maybe around where that routine is going to happen, or if you just put it on your phone, that is completely fine. The idea here is to take away that decision fatigue. So what happens a lot of times, even if you have a really good routine going, even if you're like, the past 2 weeks I've been so good, I've been waking up, I've been going to the gym, I've been doing this, but one day you wake up and you're just like, man, I am not feeling good, I'm really sore, my stomach kind of hurts, I'm a little bit tired, I didn't sleep well, I don't actually want to do my full routine today, I don't really feel it, doesn't feel like it's going to benefit me at all. And so on the days that you don't have a pre-written condensed version of this routine, you're just going to sit there and you're going to go, I'm just going to go back to bed. Actually, I'm not going to do anything, because if I can't do it all, then I feel useless and I feel like I failed. And this is actually something that our brains are really, really good at doing, is convincing us that we are failures if we don't completely do the entire thing all at once. So it's kind of like when you have a to-do list and you don't finish something, and then you're like, well, I finished 8 things on this to-do list, but I didn't finish the 9th. So because of that, I actually didn't get anything done today. And that's kind of what happens in our brains when it comes to routines as well. So that's why we really want to make sure that we have the condensed 5-minute version of every single routine for each one of those time blocks, because this is going to trick your brain and allow you to still feel accomplished and still feel like you really did something, because you still got everything done that was on the condensed version menu. Even though you didn't do everything that you ideally want to do every single day, you still accomplished something because you still fully completed that condensed version of your checklist. Now, ideally, when it comes to using the 5-minute mode menus, you don't want to do those for every single time block in your day. Obviously, there are days where that's going to happen, and I have definitely had days where that's actually what ends up going on. But ideally, if you use a 5-minute mode menu, you don't want to try to use one for the rest of the day. And not because that's going to make you lose track of your goals or not accomplish things as fast, but more so because you want to allow this to trick yourself into building confidence. Because, for example, if you use the 5-minute mode of your morning routine, then when it's time for your post-work routine, you're going to go, okay, well, I actually accomplished everything on my 5-minute mode menu today. So because of that, I feel a little bit better. I proved to myself that I can do the things that I said that I was going to do. So because of that, I'm actually going to do my full ideal routine for my after work routine. And this is one of the best ways to build confidence in yourself and to actually build the energy that you need to really push forward on your goals. Because the more that you show yourself that you're capable of accomplishing things, even if it's just the condensed version of your routine, you are still building that same level of accomplishment and trust in yourself, because you are doing the things that you said that you were going to do. You are looking at this condensed version and you're going, this is absolutely doable. This is something that I can accomplish right now. And because I just accomplished accomplished that entire thing, my next one is going to feel a lot easier because I already have that momentum going. I have the confidence already built up, and now I want to do everything else. I want to actually try to do my entire routines for the rest of the day because I'm on one. I'm really getting this ball rolling and I can do hard shit. And now the last menus that I make are probably some of my favorites because these are a little bit more exciting than the last ones. It gives you a little bit more freedom and there's just a little bit more options to do on these menus. Now these are going to be a little bit more specific. So for me personally, I have a movement menu, I have a mood boost menu, and I have a self-care menu. Now these might be things that you don't do absolutely every single day. So these might be things that are kind of more emergency menus is what I like to consider them as. So for the movement menu, for example, you might list out every single workout, every single running route that you want to take, every single Pilates class that you like to follow on YouTube, every single yoga flow that you want to do. You would list every single possible form of movement on this list. And if possible, you can even add the links to these specific workouts in there if that's something that you're following on YouTube or something like that. Because the goal with the emergency menus is just the same as the condensed version and the ideal version. We want to take away that decision fatigue. We want to have something fully written out in front of us and something that is so easy to access that we can't talk ourselves out of it. And these are for the days where maybe you wake up and you're like, wow, I was supposed to go to the gym today, but I'm not really feeling it. And typically when that happens, you would just be like, fuck it, I'm just going to go back to bed. I don't want to do anything. I'm just going to lay here. But if you have an emergency movement menu, you can look at it and be like, okay, well, lifting is obviously not going to happen today, but maybe I can do this hip opening yoga flow that I have saved on my notes app right here. And that way you're still getting movement in, you are still moving your body, but you're not forcing yourself to do something that is completely out of your wheelhouse for the day. And it's still allowing you to stay on track with that goal of moving your body or whatever specific goal that you have around fitness or health. Like I said, I also like to do a mood boost emergency menu. And if you were on TikTok, I think about a year ago, you might have heard of the concept of a dopamine menu. And this is pretty much very similar to that. I just like to write down every single thing that I know makes me feel better. So whether it's listening to a certain playlist, I might even link that playlist in my notes app, or doing a coloring book, or going on a walk, listening to a certain podcast, watching a certain movie. You want to try to list everything out that you know can help you get in a little bit better mood. And this one is especially important because when you're in a bad mood or when you're not feeling good, when your brain is kind of attacking you, the absolute last thing that you are capable of is sitting there and going, wow, I really wonder what's going to make me feel better right now. Like that's just not something that we do when we're in a bad mood. So having it pre-written and having it already laid out for you is going to instantly take away all of that stress of being like, wow, I feel like shit. I'm just going to keep drilling myself into a hole because I can't make myself feel better. And this is going to allow you the option to actually be like, you know what? Okay, I do really like that movie. That movie does make me feel a lot better. So maybe I should put it on right now and see if that boosts my mood a little bit. And it is the same exact thing for the self-care emergency menu. I have just a giant list of things that really allow me to feel my best self and to really take care of myself and really make sure that I'm taking the time to focus on things that are going to allow me to relax and just kind of feel my best. And all of these emergency menus allow me to just take away any stress of thinking about things and allow me to just open up my phone, go to that emergency menu, be like, you know what? I am feeling a little bit sad today. Which of these should I do right now? Oh, let me just scroll and click and pick one. Same thing with the self-care menu. I might just be like, you know what? I want to take some time. I have 30 minutes right now to really just focus on myself. Which of these things can I do? Can I do a face mask right now? Should I take a bubble bath? Can I go get myself a little sweet treat? Can I go buy myself some flowers? What on here is the most feasible at this current moment for me to be like, yeah, let's do that right now. And for some of these, you can get as detailed as humanly possible. You could even do this in Notion. This is actually a great idea that I might do after this video. You could put them in Notion and you can rate them as how much energy they might take to do. So you could have something that's super low effort and really easy to accomplish versus something that's a little bit higher effort and going to be something that you actually have to go out of the house to accomplish. Or maybe you rate things by how long they would take. So maybe you have your 5-minute tasks all the way up to 30-minute tasks. You can really get as detailed as you possibly can imagine and just do it to the extent that you know that you need. Some people need a little bit more structure and a little bit more routine versus some people just need to be like, okay, these are all the things that I want to do, and just the fact that I have that written out is enough for me. I'll be able to accomplish that. Now, I'm hoping that you made your routines alongside me, but just in case you didn't, as a reminder, you need to have an ideal routine of every single routine block in your day. So as many different time blocks as you need as you go throughout your day to day. You want to have an ideal version of each one of those, as well as a 5-minute mode version of each one of those time blocked routines. And you also need your emergency menus on hand for anything that you could ever possibly need. So whether it's a movement menu, a mood boost menu, or a self-care menu, maybe you even throw in other things that are related to specific goals that you have or specific habits that you want to incorporate. You could have an emergency meal menu if you wanted to. This could be a list of all of the foods that are easiest for you to make, or maybe recipes that you really want to try. And again, the goal with menus is to take away all decision fatigue. That is the enemy. That is the thing that is going to veer you off track and is going to make you feel like you are doing way worse than you actually are, because it's causing you to just sit there and overthink. And the more that you have to think about what you have to do, the more that you're going to end up actually thinking about what you're not doing. And then you're going to end up making yourself feel worse. And then you're never going to actually accomplish the things that you want to do because you were just drilling yourself into a hole, and then you feel worse about yourself and you don't ever stick to any habits or routines. So let that be a reminder to keep all of these menus on hand, whether you have to actually write them out, whether you have to put them on your phone, pin them to the top of your notes section, make them all easily accessible so that you can avoid falling off track, because then you will have just done all of this work for nothing. When it comes to emergency menus, these are the ones that I am the most excited to hear about what you're putting on yours or what kind of emergency menus you've created. So please drop a comment below and let me know anything that you're putting on your emergency menus, or if you're making an emergency menu that I didn't even think of, because I am so curious. And after you drop a comment, make sure that you check the description below for a bunch of free resources for your fitness and mindset journey, and make sure that you are subscribed to my channel here. Now that is all that I've got for you today, so until next time, be kind to your mind, to your body, and to others, and happy healing.